There we go. So I actually can go away with this. We can.
Did you watch the eclipse at work?
I worked from home,
Ah.
so I could not be disturbed, and I could just watch it. I did. There we go. So I actually can go away with this. We can. Okay, so that's working.
Did you watch the eclipse at work?
I worked from home. Check. Okay. Let's check it. Since I changed that stuff around, let's check our audio one last time because I just am paranoid about us recording a whole podcast and not working.
Has that happened yet?
Hello, check. Hello. No, it
Check
hasn't.
1, 2, 3. Check.
Thankfully, it hasn't. Exactly.
Is that It's Poku.
It is Poku.
Recognize that body frame from a mile away.
Do you have an idea of
Weekend preview?
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty easy. This Masters update. And then
Round 1 update?
watching the leaderboard, baseball stuff.
Okay.
Final weekend in the
So
NBA.
when I do
final weekend in the NBA, seating. All that
Okay.
crap.
So when
Same
I'm
with
doing the
the-
programming reminders and I mention it, if I turn it to you for like a little teaser, you good? For like
Right now?
Well, no,
at the
so
top,
what-
or
yeah, at the
at
top.
at the top or at
So-
the end of the pod?
at the top. So I'll go through programming reminders, which will be your weekend preview, and then just reminding everyone to subscribe to the podcast.
Yeesh.
And so if you just want to list off a couple things that you're going to talk about.
Happened yet?
Hello, check. Hello. No, it
Check
hasn't.
1, 2, 3. Check.
Awesome. Thankfully, it hasn't. Okay. All right. Here, can you scoot in a little bit?
Scoot in.
Yes, or towards me. There you go. So that you're more in frame. And here I can. Okay.
It's like PTI.
Exactly. All right. Let's do this thing. Everything should be plugged in and charging. Stream looks good. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. For the rest of the podcast, we're doing things a little bit differently this week. Normally, all of us are remote and we're, joining via, just virtual, looking at our, webcams and all that stuff. But Alex and I, since I now live in McKinney, just moved back into the area. I wasn't far. I was in Plano, but Alex and I are now back in the same town, so we live a lot closer. And we decided, you know what? This is Masters Week. We're going to be doing a Masters preview. So what better time to do this thing in person?
Right?
So that's what we're doing this week. It's just Alex and I. You just got done listening to my intro where I give you my top 10 movies of all time.
Oh, wow.
Which, yeah, Alex, you're unaware of that, so you're gonna have to listen to the intro of this. To
Yeah,
find
no
it out.
spoilers. Gotta check that out.
Yeah. We're doing it kind of time capsule style. I'm going to be recording the intro later on tonight at the time of this recording. But we are live on the Making the Call YouTube for an in-person podcast. So hopefully we're going to be able to do more of these from time to time, which should be a lot of fun. But rundown for today, we've got a lot of headlines to run through. We'll talk about UCONN going back-to-back in the men's college basketball championship. We'll talk about Caitlin Clark and the women's March Madness, John Calipari, I guess, John Calipari to Arkansas.
Tomato, yeah.
Yeah. We'll do a few minutes on the Mavs. Alex has got a rant about his Seattle Mariners that I'm excited for.
Short rant, yeah.
And then I'll give an update on the Rangers, and then we will get into our Masters preview because we both love the Masters, so can't wait to talk about that. But before we get into all of that, some programming reminders. First of all, Alex's weekend preview is running strong. You've done, 2 weeks now?
Yeah, this will be lucky number 3.
Lucky number 3. Give our listeners just a little bit of a teaser of what to expect this Friday.
Well, quick teaser. We'll definitely be updating day 1 of the Masters, final weekend in the NBA and the NHL, seeding implications, and we'll see if the Stars can get the President's Cup. So tune in.
So tune in for that. He'll be recording that Thursday night, so he'll have some round 1 reactions to the Masters, and then obviously looking ahead to the Mavs and the Stars weekend, especially with the NBA wrapping up this upcoming weekend. So you won't want to miss that. You'll see that on the same Making the Call feed, which is a good segue into the final programming reminder. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Subscribed on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcast.
YouTube too. Wow.
YouTube, Making the Call YouTube, Making the Call Substack, just everything in the
all
Making
socials,
the Call.
Yeah.
All the socials.
We got it all.
Absolutely. But if you're going to listen to the podcast, I would suggest do it on Spotify because we do video podcasts on Spotify, and it's only on Spotify where you can get the video format for this podcast. So subscribe to all of our channels, socials, all that stuff so you can stay up to date with everything going on with Making the Call. Okay, let's get into some headlines, shall we? First up, UCONN goes back-to-back. It seemed like this is weird to say in a tournament like March Madness, but it seemed like it was never in doubt.
It seemed like almost the narratives flipped between the men's and the women's. Like the women's used to always be the tournament, just pick the 1 seeds, they'll get to the Final Four, and it's usually UConn that's going to blow everybody out and win. But now we got the men's with UConn blowing everybody out and winning.
Yeah. I mean, we were just kind of riffing before we hit record, and you said something like UConn's like 10-0 against the spread in their last
the last two tournaments overall. They're like, so they've played 6 games each, so 12-0 against the spread.
12-0 against the spread.
And they've won them all, at least 10 by double digits, like the last 10. I don't know about those first 2, but
that's just unheard of.
It is, especially since they didn't do like when Florida repeated. They just brought back everybody. Like this is a whole new team besides a couple of guys.
Yeah. They replaced, I think it was like 75% of their scoring from last year, 3 starters, and they become the first back-to-back champion since Florida in 2006, 2007. This is also UConn's 6th national championship, with all 6 coming since 1999. So in
our lifetime, yeah.
In our lifetime, in a 25-year stretch, they've won 6 titles, which puts them tied with North Carolina for 3rd most all-time, behind Kentucky with 8 and UCLA with 11. So they're now 1 ahead of Duke, which is kind of crazy. And if you look more recently, because, again, they've won all those since 1999, UCLA won, I believe, like all but one of their
went like the 60s and 70s,
60s
right?
and 70s with Bob Wooden.
Wooden era, yeah.
And then they won 1 in like the 90s. And so if you just go from like 2010 onwards, so the last 14 years, UConn has won 4 since 2010, and there's only 2 schools that have won twice in that time period, which is Duke and then Villanova. So the kind of dominance we're seeing from UConn over like a 2.5 decade stretch, we haven't seen since those Wooden era UCLA teams.
Yeah, they're the new aged blue blood, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they've done it with multiple coaches too. It's just a brand at this point.
Yeah.
People know UConn as a basketball powerhouse. Like, what is there else to say?
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy because that clip of Dan Hurley from like 2020 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Where he's just
get your licks in now, pretty much.
You better come beat us now because we're coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking back on that now, it's just like, talk about calling your shot.
Shout out.
Yeah.
You knew it.
All right. Next headline: Caitlin Clark. So
Love it.
The women's tournament, if you are unaware, so the championship game viewership numbers have been posted by Nielsen for the men's and the women's. And the women's championship outperformed the men's championship from a viewership standpoint for the first time in history. So to put the numbers to that, the women's, let's see, they were at 18.8, let's call it 18.9 million viewers, and the men's was at 14.8. So they beat them by 4 million viewers.
Not bad.
Which, if you just go back, if you look at like a year-over-year growth, and again, this is kind of the Caitlin Clark story, right? Mm-hmm. Where if you look at the women's, they've been basically 3 to 4 million viewers for their championship from 2022 all the way going back to really like the 90s. They'll have some outliers where some years it was like 2 something, some years it was 5 something, but really 3 to 4 million. Caitlin Clark comes onto the scene, and that was really last year, right? Where they were in the championship against LSU.
Yeah, because the second highest was last year's when Angel Reese beat Caitlin Clark in the Final Four and then got
exactly.
So
exactly
same.
And so they averaged 3 to 4 million a year. Last year it jumped up to 9.9 million, and then they saw so that was basically a 5 million bump from 2022, and then they saw a 9 million bump year over year.
Doubled it, yeah.
Is this so? I mean, I can read those numbers to you. So, and again, so the women's 18.9 million this year, men's 14, which was pretty much flat year over year from last year with UConn. I can say all those numbers, but what I want to ask you, Alex, and where I kind of want to take this is this year's tournament for both the men's and the women's? Just looking at kind of the viewership, is it a sign of a change in the tides, or is this just kind of an anomaly and it's like Caitlin Clark she stands alone and that's all it is?
I think it's a little bit of both because obviously Caitlin Clark is an anomaly. She's freaking insane, but it's also like the men's game, in my opinion, it's just getting a little boring.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not really watching these NBA level guys because only a couple of them are really going to be stars. Most of them are coming out of high school or going overseas for a year and then coming to the draft. But yeah, just in my opinion, I think the men's game has been trending down and the women's taking advantage, trending up.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think part of it is the fact that we live in this one and done era. Right?
Yeah.
Where,
although I think I think that's about to change.
Are they trying to fix it?
A little bit.
I hope they do, because you don't have the household names.
And the NBA just got rid of the G League Ignite, which was the high school one.
I saw that, yeah.
So that might help.
But it's like you watch the women's tournament, and it's like we've watched Caitlin Clark for a few years now. We've watched Angel Reese for a few years now.
Yeah, true. That whole class came in what, 2021, right after
I think
COVID?
So, 2021, yeah. And so you've got, like, what you're seeing on the women's side is what you used to get with the men's, where, like, you don't even have to go back that far. Like, think of those Villanova teams where it was like Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. And
they're all on the Knicks now.
Yeah, they're all on the Knicks, basically. And, you know, they won 2 titles in 3 years with that Villanova team. And it's like you got to know them throughout their whole college career. Whereas
Which
now,
is also why, like, college football is king.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just don't have those stars on the men's side anymore. Like, really the best example we've had now is Zach Edey, which he's like one of the most polarizing players in college basketball, because it's the Purdue fans think that he's, you know, he gets hated on too much, but then everyone else is like, well, I don't really want to watch
it's just boring
free throws, you know, like I want to watch basketball. So I don't know how they fix it. Maybe it is, you know, doing away with the one and done era, but
they do have, I guess Cooper Flagg will be an interesting watch next year.
But is he only going to be there for a year, you know?
Like probably, but I think he's more of a polarizing name. At least he's gonna be sort of a demon at Duke, you know.
Yeah.
Like he probably won't be like flashy like Zion was, but if they get someone like that again, I think that would really help. Just another flash like Zion or a superstar. Like they were probably holding out hope that maybe Bronny was gonna be that a little bit.
Yeah.
But that sort of crashed and burned.
And now he's apparently he's in the transfer portal, but he's also eligible for the draft, and that's a whole nother thing.
Do you think if he gets drafted in the second round, you think he even goes or goes back to school?
I don't think he's getting drafted in the first round.
No. But, I mean, to the second round, a team might just be like, you know what? Take a flyer.
The Mavs have the 58th pick, I think.
Second to last, or they're 60, so yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
As a Mavs fan, yes. It's
Yeah.
the 58th pick.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah. I mean, why not? But, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. But on the men's side, like, it is something they got to think about because I mentioned all the viewership numbers, which what I don't want us to do, because I think we're better than this, is like become the type of like sports fans who are obsessed with
Nielsen fans.
Exactly. And it's like we don't need to celebrate or criticize the ratings because honestly, if no one watches March Madness, I'm still going to love it and I'm still going to enjoy it, right? If no one watches the Masters this weekend, like you and I are still going to have a blast. So
they don't show the streaming numbers too, right? Isn't it just cable boxes still?
I think they incorporate streaming now too, but I don't know how accurate it is. But I think that they have figured out how to incorporate streaming. But if you go back even on the men's side, so I mentioned they were at like 14.8 million. You don't even have to go back that far. If you go back to 2017, they were at 23 million. So like they're trending in the wrong direction. And if you look back at like the late 90s,
oh yeah,
all the way through kind of like the 2000s, they were averaging 20 to 25 plus million a game for the championship, and now they're like struggling to get to 15. So I mean, it's something they have to try and figure out, because you got to
do quarters.
Please, I'm glad you're on that camp because I am too. Yeah,
change it up.
Yeah. All right, and other college basketball news: John Calipari has taken the head coaching job with Arkansas.
Whoa!
So it's a bit of a head coaching carousel where Andy Enfield from USC leaves to take the job with SMU.
Yeah, pony up.
And then the Muss Bus leaves Arkansas to take the job at USC. And then now Calipari, I'm going to say Calipari and Calipari the entire time. I'm just going to say it different each time. He leaves Kentucky to stay in the SEC to go to Arkansas. So, first of all, what's your reaction to the Calipari news? Because
I think he sort of like looked around the town. He's like, yeah, I think it's time to leave before they can me. Sort of a leave before they fire me type of situation.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, man. If they were going to fire him, what was it, a $30 million buyout?
That's true, but he's also buddy with the Tyson Chicken guy, who's a big Arkansas downer, so I think he's going to be fine either way.
I saw apparently Jerry Jones was like instrumental in the NIL package, and so Cowboys fans were, talking about how Jerry spent more money on getting Calipari to Arkansas than he has on the Cowboys.
Arkansas basketball right now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. To me, I think it's a big deal because
they'll get more better recruits and like bigger names, but I don't know if it's a big deal in like putting titles on the board.
Okay, so I'll ask you this. Is Arkansas better with Calipari than they were with Muss?
I think slightly, yeah. But I really don't think the ceiling is much higher at the same time because Muss would always get to the Sweet 16 with them, and this year they were just down.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much better Arkansas is because I think Muss was a good coach, and I think the thing with Cal is like he's a great recruiter, but he's not a very good coach. Like he doesn't do a lot of X's and O's.
Yeah, the game has sort of passed him by as the years have gone by.
And so it's like, dude, you can't just be the salesman. Like you've also got to, do your job in between the lines. And so I'm curious to see if he rights that ship in Arkansas or not. But
he'll do what he always does. He'll just make them an NBA factory.
Yeah.
He'll get them ready for the league, pretty much.
What I am excited for is the fact that he stayed within the conference.
Yeah, that's fun. That'll be fun.
It's like when Chris Beard left Tech to go to Texas.
Yeah, it's
like
a bummer.
that.
We only got that for one season.
Yeah, for other reasons, but but I'm excited for that because that's like to me that's what makes college sports. So I think that element of it is going to be exciting.
Who do we think Kentucky's going for? Nate Oates?
Well, Nate Oates put out a statement saying he's staying in Alabama. Did you see that?
The boosters chipped in. Okay.
Yeah, he put out a statement saying,
that's not entirely surprising with the booster network they got over there. First Final Four, too. They're going to take care of them.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of rumors about Scott Drew, and that really scares me because I don't want him to leave Baylor.
And SMU would have caused that domino, too. Like,
yeah, I think the Scott Drew rumors are real, and I think he does make Kentucky better because you have the NIL backing of Kentucky because now Kentucky doesn't have to pay Cal $30 million to not coach for them. And Scott Drew is a much better X's and O's coach than Calipari has been, since they won that one title. What was that, 2014 with Anthony Davis, I think?
I think it was 2012.
Or 2012, okay. So even longer ago. But I hope he doesn't leave Baylor. I know Baylor just shelled out a lot of money on that new basketball arena, but I'm scared. I'm scared.
And then just one fun name. Rick Pitino, run it back.
He said that he wants to go. He wants to coach back at Kentucky at some point.
That would be the fun one. But
that would be fun. I'm rooting for that because then that means Scott Drew stays at Baylor.
And I don't think it's as much the game has passed Rick by as with Calipari. He still coaches hard and has his whole regime down.
Pitino still has his fastball. That's for sure. All right, let's pivot to professional basketball and talk about the Dallas Mavericks.
Woo.
Currently 4 games left. It's Monday night when we're recording this. They're currently stomping Charlotte.
As they should.
Let's see. Can we get a live score update? Because there's nothing more beneficial to our listeners. 69-47 at halftime. So looking good there. They've got 3 other games after the game against Charlotte. Tuesday night, second night of a back-to-back at Miami. Friday night at home versus the Pistons, and then Sunday at the Thunder to wrap up the season. They're currently 2 games back of the Clippers for the 4 seed. They're 2 games ahead of both the Pelicans and the Suns. Clippers have the tiebreaker over the Mavs, and the Mavs have the tiebreaker over Phoenix and New Orleans. It feels almost a certainty that the Mavs will be the 5 seed. The Clippers will be the 4 seed.
Yeah, the Mavs would have to win out. Clippers lose out.
Yeah. So that seems very unlikely. It seems like we're on a collision course for that 4-5 matchup in round 1.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no matter what.
So I guess we'll talk about the playoffs here in a sec.
Playoffs?
Playoffs. Remaining rooting interests. I don't know if you feel this way, but pretty much just root for whoever is playing against Denver.
We got to root for the Suns this week.
Do we?
Because they play the Clippers back to back tonight, and I think probably Thursday.
Okay. So root for the Suns against the Clippers.
Not that hard. We hate both those teams.
Just a little bit. But root for whoever Denver is playing. Because
yeah.
To me, that's like object number 1 is, can we not be on Denver's side of the bracket?
Yeah, I'd like to make the Western Conference Finals. Thank you.
Yes. So right now Denver is tied with Minnesota, and they've got like a 1-game lead over Oklahoma City.
I think they play each other actually. So
they do.
That's a massive game. Tomorrow?
Wednesday, second night of a back-to-back.
Oh, perfect. That's right after the Mavs game, I believe.
Yeah, so Denver plays Utah Tuesday night, and then they'll go second night of a back-to-back home against Minnesota, and then they've got San Antonio and Memphis to wrap up. So
perfect.
It's going to be that Minnesota game on Wednesday is going to be the key here. But I guess I'll ask this. What do you think should be the goal for the Mavs for these remaining 4 games? And we could say remaining 3 games because it seems like this game against Charlotte is
wrapped up.
Wrapped up.
I think the goal at this point, we're going to win we're going to win tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Try and win tomorrow
Austin's
at Miami.
Not on, so you don't have to worry about the jinxes. We should be okay.
Try and win tomorrow at Miami. Win on Friday night against the Pistons. And then Sunday against OKC, just throw out the G League guys and give everybody a rest. And hopefully, like, the seeds are all set. And Luka, Kai, everybody doesn't have to play that last game.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they can extend this lead tonight and none of the starters have to play the fourth quarter because they're going to have.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking it's trending that way.
Yeah. I think the goal for the remainder of the season is just get healthy and don't get hurt.
Yeah, because we still got Josh Green, Lively. Anybody else?
Do we have? No, those are the two. Do we have any update on them that you know of?
I think at this point they're just shut down until the playoffs. Like, what's the point?
But is the expectation that they will be ready game one of the playoffs, or do
I
we
think,
not know?
yeah, it's Jason Kidd. We don't really know
Okay.
because the playoffs still don't start until next Saturday. So that's another over 10 days. So that's a lot of time to get healthy for those guys.
Okay.
And they also haven't been playing for a while.
Yeah, if we can get them back, I think that's gonna be
Lively especially.
Lively especially.
Because Derek Jones Jr. has really done well in Josh Green's absence.
So I wanna pivot to this. We have criticized Jason Kidd.
We have
a lot on this podcast.
It's a weekly check-in thing.
Yes.
But
I think we need to give him his flowers because he has figured out this rotation. He has figured out this defense. Luka and Kyrie playing off of each other. I mean, do you have a big gripe about him at this point in the season?
No, honestly. You know what I think his problem is? It's just his whole vibe. I think he just doesn't really jive well with the media. Like, in an NBA locker room, he was probably driving really well with the guys. Former player, Hall of Famer. I just think he doesn't have the media game down. And that's his whole problem and why we like to criticize him and why he's just annoying. When we're losing and stuff, and he's like, no one's going to die. We play 82 games. We tried our best.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think his demeanor really irks Mavs fans.
Although I guess we should be used to it because Carlisle was the same way.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like the leash has been shorter on Jason Kidd with the fans.
Yeah,
but
just because coming in it was already a polarizing hire. 50% wanted it, 50% didn't.
That's true. Yeah.
Still to this day, we go back in time, would you still take Mosley over Kidd? I think I would. But the thing we forget is Kidd is packaged with Nico.
That's true. If it's Mosley plus GMX.
Yeah, if we don't have Nico,
Nico, then I think I take Kidd and Nico.
Yeah, Nico all day.
Yeah. But I want to give, I don't know. I wanted to give him credit. I saw a stat today from StatMuse. It is the best defensive rating by a 5-man lineup since the All-Star break. Minimum 100 minutes played.
The current 5 guys right now?
It's the starting 5 for the Mavs. It's Luka, Kyrie, Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington, and Daniel Gafford. That is the best 5-man lineup by defensive rating since the All-Star break in the NBA. Better than any Celtics lineup. Better than any Denver or Minnesota lineup.
Yeah, and I think it's all about the length. The effort was always there, but you can only go so far. Now we have length. Everyone's got a 7-foot wingspan. It's all there now.
Yeah. So I do want to give Kidd credit for that because he has figured something out with this, basically Luka, Kyrie, and then you've got your as you said, your length with Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of the same formula as the 21-22 Mavs. DFS, Reggie, we got PJ, Derek Jones Jr., guys like that. They're a little bit better too, and obviously Kyrie's better than Jalen Brunson was. So
yeah, don't tell Knicks fans that. They think Jalen Brunson is.
Honestly, if you ask Jalen Brunson, I think he's gonna say Kyrie has more of a bag.
I think so too, man.
Yeah,
I think so too. Okay, I want to look towards the playoffs a little bit, but we'll do a full.
Oh, no doubt. Next Monday.
we'll do a full breakdown next Monday. But what I want to talk about with you today is, can we talk through what we think the playoff rotation will look like? Let's assume Derek Lively and Josh Green are
Back.
all systems go. So, ideal world. Starting five, it's going to be that five we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
Where you've got Luka, Kyrie, Derek Jones Jr., and PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, if that is the starting five, because in the playoffs, you only play like
8, 9, max.
Yeah, I'd say most nights 8. You might get to 9.
They were doing it on Sunday. They played 8 guys.
Okay, who were the 8?
Well, actually, no, they played 9 guys, but Hardy played 6 minutes in like the first quarter. Didn't play the rest. But the 8 guys were the starting 5: Maxey, Timmy, Exum.
Got it. Okay. That feels like your 8 right now, right? Is you've got Luka, Kyrie, Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, and then off the bench, honestly, I'd say off the bench you've got Maxey, Tim Hardaway Jr. as some scoring, and Exum, and then your 9th guy is Gafford.
It's probably the 9th guy is probably Josh Green, and then Gafford and Lively are just gonna split minutes.
But like if you just say, okay, so that's your 8. Right? Yeah, that's your 8. So then let's say Lively is 9 and Josh Green is 10. You don't normally play 10 in the playoffs. Like that
could be a luxury though, because
Yeah.
Playoffs is a grind.
It could be a luxury because if you think about these wings, like if you have your wing rotation, and I'll include Maxey as kind of like the hybrid because you can play him at the 4 or the 5. But if you got Derek Jones Jr. and PJ as your starters, and then you can bring, Exum, Green, and Maxey off the bench, you're keeping them fresh, right? And like I think back to when they made it to the Western Conference Finals a couple years ago.
They were gassed.
Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock, they just ran them into the ground.
They're playing 44 minutes a night.
Yeah. So let's not do that,
And you're talking about giving Jason Kidd his flowers. Well, here we go. You play the hot hand, and you just got to feel it in the game.
Yeah. And it does seem like the vibes are, let's bring it back to Jalen Brunson. The vibes are immaculate with this team right now.
Oh, yeah. Luka and Kyrie at the end of the game, and then the whole team sort of kumbaya in the middle of the court.
So that's really cool to see.
And then even today at shoot around, there was a video. They were like all dancing and stuff.
Yeah, it's just
time.
things are looking up.
They're excited for the playoffs, but probably also for this week off coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do a full breakdown for the series preview against the Clippers next week. Looking forward to that. Really, really hoping it's not a three-peat for the Clippers.
No way.
I'm a little more, cautious about that matchup than I think you and Austin are based on the previous podcast, but the Mavs can absolutely win that.
No, I think I have to right or wrong. Like, if we somehow, like, the finishing game is at home. I went to the finishing game in 2021 when we lost to them in the first round, was that? It was the year before we went to the Western Conference Finals. 2021, like 2020, 2021? So right after COVID and right before the...
Because 2020 was the first series against them, and that was the bubble.
Yeah, it was right after the bubble. But I was there at the game where we were trying to beat them at home, and Boban was playing like 40 minutes. So I have to right that wrong there. And as long as it's not like $500 a pop, but I'll try to be in the building for that for sure.
Definitely. All right, let's pivot from them. Let's talk a little baseball. I've got an update on the Rangers, but before we get to that, you wrote down in our outline here, Alex's Mariners rant, parentheses, I've had it.
Perfect, too. They're losing 5-0.
So I'll just turn it over to you.
I mean, it's sort of a continuation of the rant from last week. Like, it's just the same crap every year. They go bargain hunting for some reason when we're like top 10 in his attendance, jersey sales every year in, year out. It's just this ownership group, John Stanton, the GM, all these guys. They make bargain hunting decisions on their little analytic board. Like, yeah, it'll work on the computer. It doesn't work in real life. Like, we are the only team in the majors right now that has not scored 6 runs in a game. Like, we're that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, right now our mentality is like, we got to win 1-0 or we're just not going to win. Like, no one's hitting. Yesterday, Julio finally hit a ball in the air that actually went deep. Like, he's been hitting everything on the ground. Our best hitter is a singles guy in Ty, which is nice. But when no one else is hitting, like, it doesn't really help. Like, I don't know. I'm just tired of it. They wasted Ichiro's career. They wasted Ken Griffey Jr.'s career. Like, and now it's trending like they're going to waste Julio's career. So please, sell the team to someone who's going to spend some money. Like, I get it's a business, but isn't the whole point of buying a sports team not really to make money? You've already made your money.
Yeah.
And it's the whole, like, you got to spend money to make money, too. Like, once you win a championship and stuff, you're going to get paid back all that money you put in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're seeing it right now at the Rangers. I'm sure they're doing fine profit margin-wise. And
yeah, I mean, they didn't spend a ton of money this offseason because of the uncertainty with Bally, but that's after spending almost $1 billion.
Yeah, I think they can get one break here. I mean, the roster is still awesome.
Yeah. I just pulled it up because I don't know. I guess I wasn't fully aware of the cheapness by the Mariners.
Yeah, it's annoying.
So I'm looking at payroll rankings. This is on Spotrac.
Bottom third, right?
16th. Yeah. So
that's higher than I would have guessed.
You're basically tied with the Rockies at $142 million.
Yeah, and you know how I feel about the Rockies.
The Rockies are at 142, the White Sox 134, and you're in between the Rockies so the Mariners are at 142, and they're in between the Rockies at 142 and the Padres at 160.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like $200 million that's doable. That's nothing crazy. That's still, where would $200 million put them at? Like top 10ish, close.
It'd put them 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, that's doable. Like, Seattle is a good baseball market when you invest in it, but they're refusing to invest in it, and we're still paying them their money. Like, maybe the fans themselves should work up a boycott or something, but yeah, it's just not fun right now.
Well, and Julio Rodriguez signed that 12-year, $200 million contract. His adjusted salary for this year is $11.9 million.
Yeah, that's
so
bark.
How are you not spending more money?
Yeah, like what is it next year? It's probably going to jump.
Next year is 19.9, and then it's basically 19 or 18 million.
Not that there's even a salary cap, but if you're trying to stay below a certain number, why not take advantage of the adjusted salary for that?
Yeah. Well, and what is the
incompetence?
I'm looking at what the luxury tax threshold is.
There's no way they're near it. Or
237 million.
We're 100 million below it.
Almost 100 million below it.
They could have made 2 big splashes.
Do you see it getting?
No.
You know what I was gonna ask.
Not until they sell the team, dude. And Jeff Bezos is right there, man. He doesn't have a sports team yet, but he has all this money. He still lives up in Seattle.
Seattle sports fans are like the only group of people in the world who view Jeff Bezos as their savior. Everyone
Seriously.
else is like, let's get rights for Amazon workers. And you guys are like, come on, Jeff, we love you.
Yeah, I don't listen to Jeff. Just come save the Mariners. Cool.
Yeah, come save the Mariners. All right, anything else on your Mariners?
No, and they're losing 5-0, so I think I might become a WNBA fan for the summer.
There you go.
Go Wings, baby.
Go Wings. All right, let's pivot to the Rangers.
The Rangers.
So they're playing the Athletics at the time of recording this. It's
bet the
early
Rangers
in that game.
1.5.
Did you bet it?
Yeah.
Okay. They're up 2-1 right now in
need
the
one
bottom
more.
of the second.
Need one more.
Through their first 3 series, they're 6-4. AL ranks for the offensive statistics: batting average first, on base percentage first, slugging is second behind Kansas City. weighted runs created plus, which is one of my favorite kind of advanced stats. They're first in the American League. Pitching, they're about average.
Not bad.
In the American League ERA, they're 7th. FIP, they're 8th. Some quick thoughts on the Rangers. The injuries really suck. Josh Young is on the 60-day injured list with that broken wrist. They're saying it's going to be likely like 10 weeks until he can come back, which is a long time.
And he was mashing.
And he was doing awesome to start the year. And then Josh Spores on the 15-day DL or IL, I guess now, is a big blow for the bullpen.
What's he got? Is it elbow?
Rotator, like a shoulder rotator cuff, I think.
Okay.
Not his elbow, thankfully. It's like one of the only pitchers who doesn't have an elbow injury right now. But those injuries really suck. I think the offense is going to be fine without Josh Young. I think Sabors is honestly a bigger blow for the bullpen. But some pitching that I think has been a bright spot so far. Cody Bradford and Jose Urena have been awesome. Cody Bradford out of the rotation, Urena out of the bullpen. Urena has pitched 7 1/3 inning so far this season, and he has yet to give up an earned run. And I think it's like 5 appearances or something. 7 strikeouts to 2 walks. And then Bradford has had 2 starts with a combined 12 2/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. So Bradford heard all the chatter about, he's going to be the starter until Michael Lorenzen finishes his rehab assignment, and then Bradford goes to the bullpen. And Bradford's like, I don't know about that one, Chief. And so it's nice to see him play well. And my prediction is
he's going to hold it down.
I think he's not giving it up, and I think when Lorenzen comes back, they're going to move Andrew Heaney to the rotation, which is what they did in the playoffs. Well, they actually moved both of them to the playoffs, but Heaney has not been as good in his first 2 starts, and so I think he's going to be the candidate.
Reliever. Yeah,
he's the candidate. So that's what I would look out for. And then finally, so week ahead, they've got a 3-game series at home versus Oakland, and then they've got a 3-game series in Houston this weekend. So just split the 4-game series against them. That wrapped up on Monday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week, they'll be down in Houston taking on those Astros. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we know they love to play in Houston.
Yes. All right. Before we get to our Masters preview, let me take a minute and tell you about our friends over at Liquid IV. Alex, as you remember,
yeah,
I think it was last week, maybe the week before, I talked about a new flavor that they had released, and it was a sugar-free flavor, and it was a raspberry melon. Well, they have another new flavor that they just come out with.
Grapefruit.
And it is arguably my favorite fruit, and it is grapefruit.
Perfect timing.
I cannot wait to order myself a bag of this grapefruit hydration multiplier. It's not the sugar-free, it's just a regular, but oh my gosh, it looks delicious. I know grapefruit can be kind of like a polarizing fruit. Some people love it, some people hate how sour it is, but I'm one of the people who loves it, so I cannot wait to try that. You can go try Liquid IV today, and you can use code MTC to get 20% off when you use that code MTC at liquidiv.com. So go use that code MTC. Get 20% off the new grapefruit flavor or 20% off the raspberry melon or whatever your favorite flavor is, whether it's a sea berry, the acai berry, whatever it is. You can go use code MTC at liquidiv.com and get 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MTC at liquidiv.com. Okay, moving on. We've got one last thing on the dock for today.
We need the piano music.
I know. Hello, friends.
Hello, friends.
It is time for a podcast segment unlike any other where Alex and I will preview. Should we just talk like this the rest of the podcast?
Honestly, no, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like it.
No? We can't use our nice golf voice? Okay. All right. Well, Alex said he doesn't like it. Listeners, you can let me know if you liked it or not. Maybe. How about this? If you let us know that you like the golf voice on the podcast, we can get Alex to bust it out on his weekend preview. Not the entire weekend preview,
Ooh,
but
yeah, we'll put that in the poll on the link.
Yeah. So we can get him to bust that out. So
Or it could be like that one dude who does the Masters update guy who does like he's got the beat going.
Oh, Chris Vernon, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, those are always fun. Let's talk the Masters because it's this weekend. I just think it's beautiful the way the sports calendar lines up to where March Madness ends and then it just rolls right into the Masters.
I mean, it's the first season where it's like it's not the season of Jim Nance.
Yeah.
We didn't get it.
Yeah. This is not Jim Nance time.
Or now it is, but
yeah, that's true. But let's talk the Masters. We've got a bunch of things that we want to run through. We've got some favorites. We've got some dark horses, and we'll just kind of start with the top and work our way down. I don't think there's anywhere we can start other than, the striped cat in the room. And
yeah, that new logo.
El Tigre, Tiger Woods.
Tiger.
Do you think he can finish the weekend?
I really hope so. And the reports from the practice rounds and stuff are good. Willie Z was saying he's looking really good, striping the ball well. It's all just like up to like the weight he puts on his ankle, and can he go a full 4 days? Like we have not seen that. It seems like 2 years.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at kind of like a betting edge, which let's see how much. Let's see what the odds are on it. Let's see if I can find it. But the odds for Tiger to make the cut.
Oh, just to make the cut. Oh, okay. That's winner. Yeah, that one's winner.
Yeah.
I bet that one's for. Oh, you got it.
Well, I don't know what the odds are, but he is going for a record this year.
Oh,
and
yeah, he technically made the cut.
The most consecutive Masters to make the cut. It's like 24 if he does it this weekend. So I know he wants that record.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to do that. So if you're looking for, and I'll see if I can pull this up, but if you're looking for like okay, here you go, make the cut, Tiger Woods, Scotty Scheffler minus 2,500. He's even money, so you're not getting any juice, but
that's not. I mean, just to make the cut.
Just to make the cut.
That's pretty good.
Even money.
For a guy who's experienced at this course like Woods is.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I'm looking for. I hope he can finish.
It's 100% his body.
Yeah.
Because he's still got the game to easily make the cut.
He does. And I wish that they would like bend the rules and let him like have a cart or something. Like the Tiger cart. I don't know if you could convince him to do it.
Although John Daly doesn't play the Masters, there's no way they'd allow carts at the Masters.
That's true, but I just want to see him play on Sunday. I want to see that Sunday red. We haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I'm optimistic.
Okay. So another talking point on the Masters, Jon Rahm is the defending champion. He's going to be trying to defend his title, but he's also a live guy now. And there's a handful of live guys on the
plays on that resort tour.
Yeah. Whether it's him or Brooks Koepka or Dustin Johnson. I mean, a lot of the big guys.
Even Phil Mickelson.
Yeah. So how do you think Jon Rahm will do this weekend? And then do you think any other live guys are going to make some noise?
Well, I think John will be fine because he's historically done really well at the Masters. I think he actually, his course like average career-wise, I think it's the best.
Wow, really?
I mean, he's only played probably 4 or 5 times, but
that's still.
I believe I saw that somewhere. But I also think like Brooks usually plays well here. Like he was in that final group for Tiger in 2019. He's been in it before. I think I'd be more concerned for guys like Phil Mickelson, the older fellas. Like their whole tour is just. It's a resort tour. It's too laxed, and like this is the time where like the golf schedule itself is not the best, but you need to get your reps in because this is really the opening day of golf, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the live guys don't have as many reps as the PGA guys, and we'll see what happens. Like they did win one major last year at Brooks, so there's an outlier there.
He's my one bet, like of the live guys, because for him the non-major reps. They don't matter because he doesn't.
That's true.
He
Brooks
doesn't
was
care
already
if it's not a major,
selling it for the regular tournaments anyways.
And he was leading after day 2 last year. Had a hard time Saturday and Sunday. Lost it to Rahm. If there's outside of John Rahm, if there's a live guy that I'm like, okay, he's my pick to at least be a top 5 finisher or something, I think it's gonna be Brooks Koepka.
One other guy probably is Sergio, because he's won it before here, and he was playing well last week at their tournament.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to someone who is not a live guy, probably the least live guy on the tour, Rory McIlroy.
Rory.
Can he finally get his green jacket and complete the career Grand Slam? Because this is the one major he hasn't won yet. And he hasn't won a major since, 2014, I think?
Yeah, the U.S. Open.
Do you think he has... I'm not asking you, is he going to win it this weekend? But do you think he can? Is he in the contention for you?
Well, he did just put together his best weekend of golf last week at, I think they were at San Antonio.
Valero, yeah, in San Antonio.
I think his last round he went 6 under, so he's coming in feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
I really just think he's never even really been in contention. The one time he got close with the Masters is when he just put up a massive number on Sunday. Coming in, he was 8 shots back or something.
Yeah.
But if he can get in contention and just be in those final couple pairings on Sunday, I think that'd be great for golf and sort of what I'd be rooting for. Just because Rory on Sunday just makes it more entertaining.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. I think with Rory, so I've got a weather nugget for you.
Oh.
Are you ready for this?
Do you have the forecast?
So the first day, it's going to be windy and rainy. And the wind is carrying over into Friday.
It's not great for Tiger.
Okay. For Rory, though, he had, an incredible final round in the Valero. He finished 3rd in that tournament, shot a 66 on Sunday. Did great. The weather was terrible. It was windy, it was rainy, and he had some of his best ball striking. Or it wasn't rainy, sorry. It was just really windy.
Yeah.
He had some of his best ball striking in the wind.
Okay.
So if you're looking at someone to make some momentum going into the final 2 rounds, I think Rory's a good bet there because he just got done playing a tournament with rough elements and he did great. So can he carry that over and kind of build himself a little bit of a cushion those first 2 days, and then now he's just trying to hold on to the lead,
Yeah, at least don't have a dud on day 1 or 2, because that's really been his Achilles heel at the Masters. He always comes out and has an opening day dud.
Yeah.
It seems like, at least.
Okay. So let's see. Let's talk about our guy, Jordan Spieth. He has the 7th best odds to win it, at plus 2,200, 22 to 1, behind Hideki Matsuyama, Brooks Koepka, Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, and Scottie Scheffler. What are your expectations for him this tournament? Because it's a loaded question with that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. He's still the same. Just he'll rattle off 4 birdies in a row and then boom, triple. I just don't trust him right now. I haven't trusted him really since probably 2017, 2018. Ever since his run to start his career, he's just sort of lost his mojo and hasn't found it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair.
Although I guess he knows this course like the back of his hand because he won the amateur, set the course record the first time he played as a pro here, tied it with Tiger.
Almost won it his first time playing as a pro. He was in contention.
Yeah.
And this is, let's see, isn't this, I believe his debut was
it
2014.
Yeah, this should be number 10.
So 10-year anniversary from his
all right.
debut. He has won it once. He's been in the top 5 6 times. Obviously one of those times being when he had that collapse in, what was it, 2016, right?
I think that was 2018.
Was it 2018?
I think so.
I think. Hold on. Let's
12.
see. So he won it in 2015.
Or maybe he was trying to go back to back.
Yeah. 2016 was the 12th hole. Double splash.
Hey.
I think. I mean, this is always a conversation with Spieth, right? Is like, he's plenty talented.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He can put together the weekend. It's just.
He's his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
He overthinks things. Sometimes he won't listen to his caddy. He's like, nah, I can do this.
It's like, are you betting on Jordan Spieth or are you betting on Jordan Spieth? You know? Like, I hope he puts together a good tournament. He's obviously someone that we're both going to be watching very closely. All right, let's give out some picks. Give me like a favorite. And you can't say Scotty Scheffler because he is the overwhelming favorite.
Is it? Yeah, he's barely plus money, isn't he?
Plus 450, and the next best is John Rahm at 12-1. So, give me like a favorite that you seriously think can win this thing.
Oh, this might be a little bit outside of the box compared to like other expert picks here, but I'm going with Willie Z here. And it's more because I think his game is made for this course because he's not like he can hit it at 300 yards off the drive, but he's more of a second shot guy, and this is a second shot course. If his irons are feeling it, along with his putter, he's got the belly putter, so those are always you either have that week or you don't with those guys. But plus 3,500, he had a pretty good January, February. Didn't do much in March really, but he's been in contention. He's put together good weekends so far this season, and I think wasn't he in contention for a Masters?
His debut.
Yeah, because last year he was hurt all year, but the year before he was in contention for like all of the majors, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
No, so I think
he came on.
He still needs to get over this hump, but I think this is a good shot to do it this weekend.
Yeah.
And plus 3,500, you can't really hate that.
Plus 3,500, no, absolutely. I would say I really like that, and I like Will Zalatoris. So if he won, I would be very happy for him.
Another a Dallas local guy. He actually good friends with Tony Romo.
Yeah. See, there you go. My pick is a little. You get better odds. He's not as much of a favorite.
Ooh.
I'm not going with Jordan Spieth, but I am going with his best friend, which is Justin Thomas.
Heck yeah, I like it.
He has gotten so close to winning it before. So if I'm looking back at his previous years, 2020, he was 4th. 2022, he was 8th. And he just seems like with him, like he always is like he gets so close and he's like in contention. And like when he has a good major, it's like, oh yes, we all like everyone loves Justin Thomas. Like how can you not like the guy? And then he's not able to finish the job. And
and he's sort of on the same trend of Spieth. He had his big years a couple years ago, and these last two have been sort of trending down.
Yeah.
And he's also on that Netflix show, so you're sort of able to follow it. It's easier to root for. But I think he's due for a comeback here. Like
he's due.
Come on, JT.
He's been in the top 25 6 of the past 7 years. He has yet to win a major. Is that right?
No. He's won a couple U.S. Opens for sure and a PGA.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the Open or, of course, not the Masters. But
here, I'm gonna pull it up. Justin Thomas.
I feel like he has more than Spieth. He's got a handful.
Let's see here. No, I don't want to go to JustinThomas.com. Let's see. Number of wins. So PGA Championship, he's won twice. So that's it. So he's gotten some close finishes in the other
like you
majors,
said,
but
he's just been around so much on Sunday. It just feel like he's won more.
Yeah, like he was 4th in the Masters in 2020. He was 8th in the U.S. Open in 2020. He was 11th in the Open in 2019. I mean, he's won a ton of non-majors, but I would like to see him get it. I think that'd be really cool. See him join the Green Jacket Club. So he's my pick. All right, give me a long shot, dark horse, crazy odds, but hey, we've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, this guy's odds actually sort of shocked me a bit. Ricky Fowler at plus 12,500. So
125 to 1.
yeah, which I mean, yeah, Ricky's sort of on the downside of his career, but last year he did sort of have a resurgence. He was in a lot of contention, like at the Players, at the U.S. Open, and he's another guy where he's an irons player. Like he can drive it 300 yards, but it's more the second shot with him. And if his putter is hot, like watch out, Ricky can post a number.
Yeah.
And I feel like for those odds, like sprinkle a little bit on there. Like it's Ricky Fowler, really good year last year. See if you can build on it.
Okay. No, I like that. I'm trying to see. There's a few long shots that I like, but it's like, how crazy do you want to get? I mean, he's not. I wouldn't consider him a long shot, but like Colin Morikawa at 55 to 1.
It seems like it's just been a while since he's done anything. So
I know.
He's trending to be the
I
long
wouldn't mind
shot.
throwing a little bit on that.
think,
Obviously, Tiger 175 to 1. Like,
I think Max
yeah, why
Homa is
not?
60 to 1.
Max Homa is 60 to 1. So I mean, there's some options, right? Definitely some options.
What's Phil?
Ooh, Phil Mickelson. Let's see. 150 to 1. 150 to 1. So, all right, let's wrap up the Masters stuff. Favorite Masters moment from the past? What's one that sticks out for you?
Well, the first one's pretty easy. It's 2019, man. Tiger did it. Got over the hump. 12 years without a major. And it was the first time he'd ever come back on a Sunday and retaken the lead. But I just remember that it was super emotional at the end because you knew he was going to win. And it was one of those sports polarizing moments. You're texting her, like, are you watching this? Oh, my goodness. And, like, the hug at the end with his kid and just it's movie star moment. Like,
yeah. I mean,
Hollywood
it was
couldn't have
right
been
out
better.
of a movie.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. I agree with you there. That was going to be mine too, so I'll pick another one. We talked about Jordan Spieth, but his win in 2015. I mean,
the one thing I always remember about that is he bogeyed 18.
Yeah.
And he brought it down to a tie with Tiger for the course record.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, he was dominant that weekend, and that was his only bogey of the weekend.
Oh, that's just
yeah.
2015 Jordan Spieth was. I mean, that was like dominant Tiger, but it was just a flash in the pan, right? It was just for that 1 year. By far, my least favorite Masters moment is
2016.
Jordan Spieth 2016, the 12th hole. Oh my gosh,
that's really when he sort of lost it.
Yeah, he hasn't been the same.
He hasn't
since.
found his soul in that water since.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get it.
All right, I think that's everything. Anything else on the Masters or any other closing thoughts, or should we put a bow on this week's episode?
No, I would just say one clip to watch. You got to watch it every year. It's the oh my goodness clip from the 2005 Masters.
Yeah.
Tiger chips it off on 16.
Yeah.
And the best part about that clip is the guy right next to him is like, I don't even think he's going to get it close to the guy's ball.
and then it goes in.
Boom. But yeah, just enjoy it. I think one of the most underrated parts of the Masters is early Thursday morning, right after they do that little tee-off ceremony. And you just sort of see some of the older guys. Like, there'll always be one old guy who will birdie number 2 and be in the lead. Like, Vijay Singh will be 1 under through 2. And he'll be like, oh, hey,
look at that.
He's still there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just love everything about the Masters. And I'll be watching as many holes as possible.
Yeah, and I would say an underrated part is Thursday, Friday, just like throwing it up on your phone at work.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And just like having it in the background.
The
going through your
birds.
workday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just, it's so relaxing.
The birds, the flowers.
It's so relaxing. It's so nice.
The whispers.
Yeah, it's the best. So yeah, enjoy it this weekend. Alex will be back on Friday for
morning,
Alex's weekend preview, talking about round 1 of the Masters plus final weekend of the NBA season and all that good stuff. So thank you to everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of Making the Call, whether you tuned in live on the YouTube, the Making the Call YouTube, which you should subscribe to, or you're watching our video podcast Wednesday morning on Spotify, or you're just listening to it on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, as always, to listening to Making the Call. Thank you to Alex for joining this week, getting to do it in person. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was fun.
A lot of fun.
We'll have to get everybody here sometime, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not in this room, but maybe out in the patio or something. We'll have to experiment. We've
got ideas. We've got ideas.
Yeah.
We've got ideas. Absolutely.
Workshopping it.
Yes. So, like I said, Alex will be back on Friday with Alex's weekend preview. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your week, and we will see you next time.
Peace. Nice. Crisp hour.
Well done.
Perfect.
That was good.
All right, good. The Mavs are sort of playing with their food a bit.
Yeah.
They've woken up. They're fine.
Yeah, they should be fine. Perfect. All right, I'm going to do my
Your
top 10 movies.
What inspired that?
Were you here painting when
Oh, yeah. I sort of heard like bits and pieces.
about Dune? That's what inspired it.
So where's Dune at now?
You'll see.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You'll see.
Gotta tune in. So it'll open the pod?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I think I'm going to go see that Civil War movie this weekend. It's like the new A24 one with Jesse Plemons and the original Endgame.
And that looks good.
Hey! We've been in there this whole time.
Saying bye.
It was good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I still got to record the intro, but
Chris Power.
yeah.
That's good.
It was fun.
Alright, well, there you go.
All right. See you, buddy. Thanks for coming over. Yeah. See ya. All right, I'm gonna go record the intro and then I'll come out. All right, here we go. Let's get the other chair. Oh, that's better.
This is a second shot course. If his irons are feeling it, along with his putter, he's got the belly putter, so those are always.
All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to stop that. Let's test. Okay, there we go. Test. Test. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Making the Call. We've got a special episode in store for you this week, so I'll be doing my intro the way I always do, but then Alex is going to join me in person. So the majority of this episode, I've got Alex here in person, which we don't normally get to do here at Making the Call, but it was a special treat. We thought, hey, let's get together. Let's do this Masters preview together the way it should be done. And so that's what we did. And so it's a different dynamic this week, which I'm really excited for. I thought it turned out really well, and so I'm excited for you to get to hear that. And not only is it a different episode because of that, but it's also different because I'm not going to be doing a sports intro. I'm still doing my opening monologue here, but it is not going to be about sports. And so what we're doing this week is I am unveiling my top 10 movies of all time. And I know, this isn't a movie podcast. Andrew, what prompted this? What made you decide to do this? Well, so we just moved. My wife and I, we just bought a house. We just moved, and we decided to paint the whole house ourselves with help, with friends and family. But walls to ceilings, we decided, okay, fresh coat of paint across the entire house. Would not recommend. It was brutal. Would not recommend. But luckily, we've got awesome friends and family who came over to help paint. And one of those nights, Becca's sister was over. Alex was also over helping. And my brother-in-law, Rhett, was also over to help. And Rhett's been on this podcast before. He's been on it a few times. We were just talking, passing time, as you do. And we were talking about Dune. Alex and I had already seen Dune Part 2. And Rhett hadn't seen either Dune movies. And Rhett's a big movie guy. He was a film major in college. Big movie guy, but he's not big into like sci-fi, fantasy. Like he's not, doesn't like Lord of the Rings. He's pretty lukewarm on Marvel, doesn't like Star Wars. But I was telling him, I was like, dude, you got to watch Dune. Like, Dune Part 1 is good. Dune Part 2 is, like, fantastic. And I was trying to convince him. And I told him, and I said, I think Dune Part 2 is top 10 movie all time for me. And both him and Becca were like, what? No. Like, that's recency bias. There's, like, because Becca and I went and saw Dune together. And she really liked it. She thought it was awesome. But she was like, I think that's just like recency bias. I don't think Dune Part 2 is in your top 10 favorite movies of all time. And Rhett was like, there's no way, dude. Like, there's no way. And so I actually went, I told Rhett, I told him, I said, hey, if you go watch Dune Part 1 on your own, I will go see Dune Part 2 with you. And so he watched Dune Part 1 like the next day. And then the following week, we went and saw Dune Part 2 together. I felt just as strongly coming out of it about the movie. I was like, this movie rocks. Like, it's awesome. I freaking love this movie. And I decided, you know what? Let me sit down and do my top 10 movies of all time. Let me see if Dune Part 2 is one of them. And so I opened my Letterboxd app, which if you're on Letterboxd, send me or give me a follow. I'll follow you back. I'm at ASRobertson12. on Letterboxd. It's my handle on all my socials. So easy to find. If you're big on movies, if you don't know what Letterboxd is, it's like Goodreads, but for movies. And if you don't know what Goodreads is, it's like a social media app for book reading. So you can follow your friends. You can see what your friends have been reading, what they rated various books. Letterboxd is just like that. You can follow your friends. You can see what they've rated movies, compare it to what you've rated movies. You can see any reviews that they posted. You can also just search a movie. You can see like the consensus rating. You can see all these different reviews. It's a really, really cool app if you're big into movies, which I am. So I pulled out my Letterboxd and I said, okay, if I'm going to decide on my top 10, let me just go look at all the movies that I've rated 5 stars. And so I pulled on my Letterboxd and I've rated 200 movies on Letterboxd, okay? Of those 200, 27 are 5 stars. And I'll run through all 27, the different categories. Before I do, there's 4 movies that are non-negotiable. They're my top 4. They're my Mount Rushmore. And it is The Dark Knight, Forrest Gump, Interstellar, and the original Lion King. The live-action Lion King is a joke and a disaster and an insult to the original and to all film. But the original is a masterpiece. Favorite Disney movie. It's just awesome. So those were my top 4. So really when I was trying to figure out my top 10, I was trying to figure out 5 through 10 because top 4 is not moving. That's my top 4. I'll say it again. The Dark Knight, Forrest Gump, Interstellar, and the Lion King. Okay. So those are 4 of my 27. The 27 that I gave 5 stars, I've got 7 superhero movies. Both Spider-Verse movies, Intro to the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. The Dark Knight, Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool, Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one, and Logan. All those movies are fantastic. I think they're perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about any of them. Those are my 7 favorite superhero movies, and those are the 7 that I gave a 5-star review to. Then I've got 3 animated films. This is excluding, obviously, the 2 Spider-Verse movies, but it is Shrek, the first one, the original Lion King, and The Incredibles. I think all 3 of those movies are awesome. Again, wouldn't change a thing about them. I think they're just masterpieces. So I gave those 3 5 stars. Then we get into the sci-fi genre, where I have 9 films with 5 stars. It's all 3 Lord of the Rings movies. It's the most perfect trilogy of all time. It is. Then you get into Star Wars, where I gave Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Rogue One all 5 stars. So that's 4 Star Wars films. And then on top of those, to round out that 9, you have Interstellar, which I already mentioned, and Dune Part 2, which I gave 5 stars to. Then you have everything else, which is Oppenheimer, Forrest Gump, Silence of the Lambs, Godfather Part 1 and Part 2, or Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Shawshank Redemption, Saving Private Ryan, and Braveheart. So that's the 27 that I was working off of to make my top 10. And really, that's the 23 that I was working off of to get my 5 through 10. Because again, that top 4 is locked into place. It's not changing. So without further ado, here's my top 10. I'm actually going to go from 1 to 10 because I've already given you my top 4. And the real question here is did Dune make the cut? Okay. So number 1, I've got The Dark Knight. It's my all-time favorite movie. It's a lot of people's all-time favorite movie. It is incredible. Heath Ledger's performances as the Joker is awesome. It's such a good movie. If you're not a superhero fan, you're gonna love that movie. I don't have to tell you how good The Dark Knight is. You probably know. It's awesome. Number 2, Forrest Gump. I'm a big Tom Hanks fan. Tom Hanks is my all-time favorite actor. If Tom Hanks is in it, I'll see it. I've seen almost everything he's in. I know there's a handful of movies that I've yet to cross off my list, but if it's Tom Hanks, I'm going to watch it. And Forrest Gump is my favorite of his films. It's so rewatchable. It's so classic. It's so quotable. If I'm in the right mood, I can do a pretty good Forrest Gump voice, but it's just awesome. It's such a good film. You laugh, you cry. I just can't say enough good things about it. It's a masterpiece. Number 3, I have Interstellar. It's my favorite Christopher Nolan film. It's just an awesome movie. It's one of those movies where you get done with it and you just want to talk about the movie for like an hour. Cause you're just like, wait. So when he was in the black hole, so that was him, and you're trying to put all the pieces together and it doesn't really make sense. And it's such a thinker of a movie. It's so good. Number 4, I have The Lion King. I mentioned it. It's my favorite animated film. It's my favorite Disney movie. It was a huge part of my childhood. I'll always hold it near and dear to my heart. Just a great film. All right, now we get into, where you guys, what y'all are interested in, because you already knew the top 4. Number 5, I've got Saving Private Ryan. So Tom Hanks' second appearance on the top 10, and I'm looking down. It'll be he'll have 2 appearances, and that's it in the top 10. It's my favorite war movie. It's just so good. And that opening scene when they're storming the beaches, there have been World War II veterans who have watched that and have like, they have a hard time watching it because they've said it's the most accurate depiction of what it was like storming those beaches in Normandy, which is terrifying. Like, that is wild if that's what it was really like, which it seems like it is. And that movie is just so good. And I think what that movie captures better than pretty much any other like World War II film or war film in general is just like the emotional toll of war and what these guys go through and what specifically they went through in World War II. And just it's not your typical war movie, and I think that's what makes it so special. So I've got that coming in at number 5. Number 6, I've got Star Wars Return of the Jedi. A lot of people have Empire Strikes Back as their favorite Star Wars film. I actually have Return of the Jedi ahead of it. I just think, people like to hate on, the arc with Endor and the Ewoks, but Empire's got some moments where it's slow as well. Specifically when Han and Chewie and Leia and the droids are, or not the droid, but 3PO, when they're, stuck in that, what they think is an asteroid and they're on the run from the Empire. It slows a little bit there. I know obviously Empire's got the big reveal at the end, but honestly, the throne room scene in Return of the Jedi is like peak Star Wars for me, and seeing Anakin end up, completing his redemption arc is just so cool and it's so special. And so I do have it ahead of Empire. I think it's got the best lightsaber fights of the prequels, specifically that throne room scene. And you're just getting to see, you're getting to see Luke at the peak of his powers of what we've seen on the big screen. And I think that's something that really sticks out to me. So I've got that number 6. Number 7, I've got my favorite Lord of the Rings film, which is Return of the King. Again, I think that trilogy is amazing. And I have to put a Lord of the Rings film in my top 10 because I try to rewatch those movies every couple years. And I actually just finished a rewatch a few months ago. It was incredible. I loved it. It was awesome. But Return of the King comes in at number 7. Just a perfect end to a perfect trilogy. Number 8, I've got Braveheart. This is a movie. This was the first rated R movie that I was allowed to watch. And it's because there is a piece of our family heritage in this film. So to give you a little backstory there, on my dad's side, we're Scottish. My last name is Robertson. And we are actually descendants of Robert the Bruce, who ends up being the first king of Scotland. And Robert the Bruce obviously is a main character in the movie Braveheart. And so because of that, this was the first rated R movie we were allowed to watch because of the family significance of it. And I just think it's a fantastic movie. I love it. I could rewatch it any day of the week. It's just awesome. So that comes in at number 8. We've got 2 more movies left in the top 10. Number 9, this is where I'm going to slot in Empire Strikes Back. So 2 Star Wars films make the top 10. You have Return of the Jedi at number 6, Empire Strikes Back at number 9. Just a fantastic film. It's so good. The reveal at the end is so good, and the training scenes with Luke and Yoda is awesome. Comes in at number 9. I could rewatch really the whole original trilogy all day, every day. But Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi is just operating at a different level in terms of Star Wars. To me, those movies are Star Wars. Like, that's what you think of. And then finally coming in at number 10 is Dune Part 2. It made it. It made the top 10. It comes in right at number 10. The movie is just awesome. Like, it is a cinematic experience. If you haven't seen it in theaters, don't wait for it to come out on digital and just watch it at home. Go see it in the theaters. Like, it's one of those movies that needs to be enjoyed in all its glory with the massive screen, with the surround sound where you feel the score in your bones. It's such a good film. Start to finish, it's batting, it's throwing 95 mile an hour fastballs, 100 mile an hour fastballs even. The entire film. all 2 hours and 40 whatever minutes of it. The acting performances, it's just off the charts. There are so many actors who could win awards for this film. The direction of Denny V is just incredible. The score is awesome. The visual effects, I mean, from when the Harkonnen soldiers rise up and they start, floating up to the top of that rock, to when Timothy Chalamet is riding the worm for the first time, or I guess Paul Atreides, to use his Dune name. It's just such a good film, and some of the twists at the end, which, okay, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Dune. Actually, I won't even spoil it. This will be spoiler free. But I just can't recommend that movie enough. I want to see it again already. I've already seen it twice. I can't wait to see it a third time. I'm finishing up a book right now. Once I finish that, I'm going to start reading the Dune book to further immerse myself in this world. It's just so good. It comes in right at 10. There were some tough movies that I had to rank it ahead of, but I think ultimately it does slot in at number 10 for me. Some movies that just missed the cut. I had Shawshank Redemption at 10. Oppenheimer at 12, Silence of the Lambs at 13, and then it kind of goes on from there. So those are my top 10 films of all time. I've reserved the right to change my mind. It's going to take a really, really good movie to overtake one of those movies in the top 10. But Dune Part 2, I think, was good enough to do that. So it was awesome. Go see it if you haven't. Can't recommend it enough. But yeah. That's my top 10 movies of all time. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'll be joined by Alex, and we will continue with the rest of the show.